Okay, next part we're going to go over are the barrels. Now this is where all the confusion, problems, whether the gun is safe to shoot or not, and all these different issues come up. And now people ask me, why would you have more than one example of a gun? Well, the reason is, I think I got like 6 or 7 of them laid out here, and I found what is historically correct, and it doesn't match up to what I'm finding on these different guns. And I believe it's because in the past 120 years, a lot of these guns are hard to find now. People assemble different odd parts to make a complete rifle and sell the collectors unwittingly. And that's why when people collect guns, especially the German styles where each part is numbered, they want all the numbers matching because they know the gun's been original and nothing's been replaced. So I did some investigation and I've gone over what happens, with the barrels here. I'll give you a basic overview, and there are basically, I'll give you a basic overview, then we'll go over each modification and what the stampings on the receiver mean. There's basically 3 different types of stamps on there, and I'll go over with a separate video on each one. Now what it is I have one example that is got a matching number, the stock's matching, the bolt and everything, and the barrel is matching. And what is in Scarletta's book makes sense. But I have several other guns that have the same stampings and markings, and it don't add up. So it must be these guns were assembled as parts guns or something and sold to people as collectibles. So you have to be careful. First problem they had is when they made the original guns, they found out they were having trouble with the guns bursting. The guns blew up. They had problems with the ammunition, which would rupture, and that's why they had to modify the bolt for pierce primers and case ruptures. But then the guns were blowing up, especially the carbines. And what would happen is the way they had the bullets, the material, and the rifling, they would get buildup or fouling from the metal jackets. And you can't see it, but it would start to clog up on the rifling. And I have one example. This here is an original style barrel. Okay? It has the short, this is the contour of the original barrel. And this barrel here does have a 318 bore in it. This has not been modified in any way. I think this is the only one I have that has the original barrel. The groove diameter is 318. And also, when I run gauge pins through this barrel, you can feel it with the patch, has a weird buildup about this far. And it's 2/1000ths. The pin won't go through there, so there's a buildup on the the lands, about 3 inches from the end of this muzzle. And what happens is you can't see it, but you can feel it. And every time you fire this gun with that old ammo, the buildup's more and more until the barrel actually bursts, because you don't even know it, the pressure increases, and you have a problem. They thought it was the steel, so the first modification was they changed the steel in the barrels. They got a different type of steel, and the early guns would be marked with NM, new material. We'll go over that in a different video. The next thing was they realized that maybe the rifling should be deeper. So they made the rifling deeper, and then that kind of changed that build up and the problem that alleviated it. But they only made the rifling deep from 318 to like 320 or 321, which is still too shallow for the newer bullets. But they redid the rifling. Some guns were re-rifled. They changed the barrels, they fooled with the rifling, and by 1896 they came up with a new type of barrel and a new rifling. Now, in 1905, that's when the S bullet came, and that was another modification, and I'll go over that under the S modification. But that's basically the problems we had. And what I'm finding is I have one gun that is correct, has the correct markings, and I'll go over each and every single one. There's 3 different types, or actually 4 different types of markings. And by 1896, a lot of these older markings stopped. But what I'm finding is I believe some of these guns, irregardless what's marked on the receiver, okay, people assembled these guns from parts because the markings on the receiver and what I have for my measurements don't add up. So we'll go into a separate video and I'll go over each and every single one of them and I'll show you my findings in this sampling I have.